So those people, they Plato and all that, they elevated themselves because so Socrates was teaching like that, and then a young guy got infatuated, got really started admiring his teachings. He was a young lawyer from a very wealthy, rich family, had everything he wanted. But he just started finding Socrates' teaching fascinating because he was among those sophists who thought they knew everything. But he started realizing that, oh, this man has questions that I never thought of. This man has a view in the world that I'd never even considered. That is real wisdom. So he started following him everywhere. He started being one of the most faithful students of Socrates. And then because he was smart, educated, and everything, Socrates was just a wise person, not really educated. So Plato started now writing. La République, the Republic, and all those books are the teaching of Socrates. He didn't really make anything up. He just was writing down the thing that Socrates was teaching him. So that's how we come to know Socrates, through Plato's writing. We'll have never known him actually, because oral tradition usually disappears with the person when the person disappears. So, but Plato started writing that, and then I don't think Socrates ever intended to set himself apart. But Plato actually gave it a platform. Plato started writing because with writing or art like you do, you have the possibility to reach more people. Because Socrates' teaching was only in Greece, in Athena, right? So to the people there. And that wisdom was not going beyond the border. Again, coming back to what I was telling you, how many people you can reach out, especially with this age of technology today. Even in Asia, we discuss things that happen in America every day. So with writing and publication, Plato started proliferating Socrates' knowledge. That's how the world got to know about Socrates, through Plato's writing. So, but Plato now created a platform, like a clan, like a group of people that he also started training in the Socratic thinking, and they begin to look to see themselves as being very different from other people in terms of thinking. And then they had a meeting room where they will come as a small group of people to discuss and reflect on big topics about their culture, about their identity, about the world, about all these things. And outside of the door, they wrote in Greek, that we say in French, nul n'entre ici s'il n'est géomètre. So meaning at the door of their room, their meeting room, he said, no one can come in this room unless they are, I don't know geometry in English. I don't know the people who specialize in geometry, how they call in English. But in French, we call them géomètres. Okay? So you have to be of that field of geometry, meaning the knowledge that they were developing in those hidden society, because they were setting themselves apart. They were now beginning to build and create the culture that will now define the future of Europe. So that's how things started. So it was only for a privileged small group that elevated themselves. So they felt like they could not even mingle with a common mortal that looked like them, that was also white and European like them, because those people could not think like them. And they could not even mingle with women because they thought women was of a lower class. So going with women was actually bringing them too low down the echelon. So they were just too elevated for any of this kind of thing. So they saw themselves as unique thinkers and creators of culture and things. So, and that started being translated in books and being taught in early colleges, schools, and universities in Europe, and everybody started learning that as the way to be, as the knowledge to know. Mm-hmm. because they went to Egypt to study that kind of knowledge. All that wisdom of Socrates and all that, and the people before him were students of Egyptians, priests, and wise men from Egypt. So they got trained there, and they studied the Egyptian thinking ways, studied the Egyptian civilization, studied the Egyptian medicine, technology, and everything. And but because in the ancient Egyptian, it was more like oral transmission of that kind of knowledge, and some of that was encrypted in the hieroglyphics and stuff like that. So they couldn't really read things like that. So, and they couldn't really understand some of the practices in Egypt, but they could see the value of the knowledge and civilization. So they went deep, they took it to Athens, Greece, and developed it with their own ways and all culture, and gave it a different direction. So they would take one teaching, for example, when you have a master who teaches you something, you follow that master until a point where you start disagreeing with that master. It happened throughout history, where you start disagreeing because the knowledge that the master gave you now sets you in a direction, but with your own personality, you feel like it's not covering something else that is more meaningful to you. So you begin to switch direction, but you're still using the root of that knowledge, but you give it a different orientation. You give it a different direction. That's what the Greek did. If you look at the history of Malcolm X, Malcolm X was the student of the honorable, I forgot his name, Elijah Muhammad. So he was following him forever, could lay down his life for Muhammad Elijah, until he started disagreeing with some of the way Muhammad Elijah was teaching, because he believed there was another way of dealing with black suffering in America than just the kind of teaching that his teacher taught him. He still respected his teacher because everything he learned was from there. But at some point, they had to part ways because he wasn't feeling like that knowledge was being implemented in an effective way to solving the problem of the black community in America. So he became a little bit more direct, a little bit more aggressive and violent and stuff. And then because of that rupture, separation, people now suspect that Elijah Muhammad had actually, ordered his killing through Farah Khan, who is the current preacher now in that community, right? So at some point, the student get the basic knowledge. And I always tell you, and really, if there is one takeaway from today's meeting, is that the knowledge is neutral, is there. It's what you do with it that matters. That is really a takeaway from all of our meetings. You will learn so many things, but what are you going to do with it? That's even how I opened this meeting today. Like, we learn this wealth of material and things, like, are we going to keep it for just the two of us, or are we going to reach out? Are we going to make it available? Are we going to save, impact people's life in positive ways? How are we going to do it? So that's the thing. Those Greek realized the wealth of knowledge and richness of that African continent, and they decided to take the gist of it, go back to Greece, and adapt it to their own reality, and look at it in a more concrete way, not only in a sacred spiritual way like African look at it, because it was for humanity, but for them they started developing in a way that how do we use it for power and conquer and control. That is how the switch in knowledge started happening. And once one who got all your knowledge transform it as a weapon, now it's coming back to destroy you, to put you down. And especially if your own asili is not towards conquest and power, then obviously it's like knife and meat. Either you knife or meat. Meat will be cut by knife all the time. So that's a little bit how things happen.